Hey, it's me again, Prince from Prince's podcast. So we're gonna discuss Black history. I think it's strange that as Black people we don't know our history. We know absolutely nothing. We only know what the books tell us, what the white man allows us to know. Sorry to say that, but it's true. Because for a while they controlled the school system, and to a certain degree they still are. We can't just take books or whatever, and put them in our schools and say, okay, fine, this is the book that we want to read from for Black history. I'm wondering if there are actual books about Black history. You know, not only the ones that talk about struggle or the ones that talk about revolutions and all of that, like actual Black history before white people came. Because when I was in primary, uh, primary school, like first grade, I think that's what they call it now. Primary. We used to call it first standard or standard one, and then it was first grade. So they taught us about a history of South Africa. I'm from South Africa. They taught us about the history of South Africa. They were talking about settlers. They told us about Jan van Riebeck. Told us about Vasco da Gama. All these people that had nothing to do with our history. They just came to do what they came to do in our land, rape it, take whatever they take, and leave. And some of them never left. I can't blame them. They came here. There were beautiful women, breasts out all day. There was fruits. It was an amazing place or time to be in. And some of them said, "Nah, I'm not going back to England or Spain or wherever." They said, "Nah, you guys go back. I'm gonna stick around here." You know, you can't blame them. It was a beautiful time and a beautiful place. It's just sad that as time went on, they took advantage of the people, they stole from the people, they made the people slaves, and they treated them badly and stole so much, artifacts, erased their history, and did all sorts of things. I don't understand why they did that, but that's not what this is about, you know. This is about black people not knowing their history. For example, I would like to know, like, who are like all the kings. I'd like to know their history, their family trees, and all that, and the different tribes. Because right now I only know about Shaka Zulu, who was the king of the Zulu, and he was bad news, you know. And then I know about King Twane, but not really that much. I know very little. But I know that before them there were others, you know, and after them there were others ruling. So I don't know anything about that. I'd like to know more about that. So I'm wondering if there's actual literature out there based on that, and not just about in my country. I mean, Africa is huge, it's massive, and we don't even know that much about each other. It's sad and it's pathetic that we're all the same color and we don't know enough about each other. It's so sad that most of us are willing to start a fight when you tell them Jesus was black, yet he was born in Africa and was punished for no apparent reason. He was hung. Now, I don't know how much you know about white people, but they would not punish themselves for nothing. But I know that during times of slavery, black people, they were hung, they were beaten, for standing up for their rights, for standing up for their women, for wanting to be free. That sounds like something that Jesus went through, So let's leave that alone. I want to know about the history of Nigeria specifically, and how come it is the way it is, and how come when Nigerians go to other countries, they don't really respect the laws and they act out of line, they do all sorts of crazy things. I'd like to know about the history of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has a rich history before it became what it was. It has like one of the most beautiful structures that was built by the previous kings of the past, but we don't know that. We know nothing about that. And I think, like, the white people at that time, they worked so hard to wipe our history to a point where they said the pyramids were built by uh, uh, aliens. They came up with so many stupid theories. Some of them, they say they used like levitation whistling. I'm like, how you gonna carry a stone that big whistling? The truth is, it was built by a king. He built three pyramids, one for himself and the other two for his queens. So they didn't know how that happened until they found canals leading to the actual pyramid, the big one, King Khufu's pyramid. And then they said, okay, fine. So maybe these black people are not that stupid after all. And it was so perfect. You couldn't even fit a hair in between the massive monoliths, the huge bricks, you know. And it's very crazy. Like black people were building all sorts of amazing structures throughout Africa without help from anybody, no white man coming to teach them nothing. And yet they say that we've been in Africa for so long and we did nothing useful. Whereas when you go to their country in Europe, you find that, what's that silly structure called? The ones with the huge monolith just packed senselessly. I can't remember the name, probably because it doesn't make sense and it's not important. And I think it's in Britain, whatever that is. In any case, we did that, we built that. And some of the structures are still standing. Yes, I won't say that white people didn't help like build Africa. They did. They did that half, but they did it in such a way that it corrupted black people's minds that they cannot think beyond what's in front of them. They can't think of what's happening in the future. They can't think of tomorrow, and that's a big worry. Now, if, however, they uncovered all this history, maybe they might be able to see that they can do more. They can be better than what they are. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being crazy. But if you know your history, like if you know where you're coming from, then you know where you're going. And we don't know where we're coming from. That's why we don't know where we're going, and most of us were lost. We're in the dark, you know. So I would like to uncover that history, because now there's a whole lot of strange stuff coming out all over the internet, all over YouTube. Black people discovered this, black people did that, you know. And for people that do not really research the interesting or deep history or the boring stuff, they'll never know that, because they're too busy being stupid, watching silly videos. Watching cats, watching Tom and Jerry. I saw a video yesterday on YouTube. Say two cats are watching Tom and Jerry, and I'm like, whoa, so this is about as good as it gets. And somebody will watch that 15 times and it'll trend because it's stupid. But something that is serious and important, it won't trend because it's boring and it doesn't matter. So I would like to know our history, not just from my country or my continent, but also in America. Because as far as I know about Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. Uh, it's such a vast history. You know, I think they've been through a lot from with slavery. Because I know we had apartheid. It was bad, but slavery was just on a whole other level. It was just a whole other pain that nobody can or should live through. So I'd like to know that history. How did they get there? Who got them there? And were they picking which tribes to take slaves from, or were they just taking anybody? Because I was watching Roots 2000, not the original one with LeVar Barton, and I was like shocked to find out that other people were taking, like black people were taking other black people and selling them off to be slaves in other countries. And I'm like, how can they do this? Are we not the same color? Are we not the same people? You know? And then we found out about Kunta Kinte, the son of Dinka and Omoro Kinte. So I don't know. I think it's a deep, painful history, but it has to come out. We have to like really know everything. There's some things in the past or in anybody's history that we feel that shouldn't come out, but until you understand somebody's pain or their psyche. You won't really understand them, you know. And I don't like it when I watch like movies that should make sense but make very little sense. Black Panther was a great movie. Please don't get me wrong. It was an amazing movie, but its history is kind of like everywhere. Why? Because they shot it in Lesotho, and the king's guards, which were women, are from Benin. Historically, the king that who had guards that was women was the king of Benin, and they were called Amazons. So I don't know. I think maybe they should have just researched more and made more sense of it, because sometimes when people want to spice things up, they just put whatever together and just say, "Hey, the people gonna love it." We did love it, but after like we went through the history, I'm like they could have tried at least a little bit harder to make it more factual. Because then it's just fiction, and it's just everywhere. So in any case, I feel like as black people, we should know our history. As much as we like to blame white people for wiping our history and doing this and all that, it's our responsibility to really start blaming them and start doing our own thing, focusing on us as as is what the AU is doing, the African Union. These countries, like the countrymen of Africa, the presidents, they are thinking that maybe we should take a break from being reliant on other continents. That Africa, since it has its resources and it's pretty much supplying most of its resources to the world, why don't we just wait a bit, learn how to do business, have the same currency, work together, grow as a people, become industrious in the right way. That way we can have markets that compete with other countries. Because here's the trick. Africa supplies the world. Now, we don't necessarily sell our gold because these people bought our mines. So even if they didn't buy our mines, we'd sell the gold draw, and then they create a finished product, and then they come back sell it to us for 10 times the price. It's like bananas. If you go to a farm and just buy two, three, five bananas, I'm sure you're gonna get them cheaper than you get them in a shop packaged as a finished product. So that's the issue. That's where we're trying to be. We're trying to be industrious. We're trying to create a sensible market to sell to the world so we can sell at competing prices and sensible prices so that we can grow. Now, other people may not understand this or may have a problem with this, but as a black person, you have to really sit down and think. Research your history, where we come from and where we're going. Now, as white people, sensible white people thoroughly understand this. Like, fine, as black people, you guys have been through a lot. You've been through struggles. We didn't help you as much. Maybe we made it worse, but we understand why you're doing what you're doing. Big ups. The powers that be do not like this very much. That's why they're trying to get rid of our leaders. They're probably going to try to kill them one by one. You know? But the sad thing is that even if they do that, they're not going to get like somebody special to come and kill them. They use somebody who's very close to the president or the minister to poison them or to give them details on where they'll be so they can kill them or assassinate them or whatever. Now that's how weak we are as black people. We have no loyalty. So if we can iron out kinks like that, and we can stand together, taller, stronger. I think that black people, we just need to stop making excuses, get together, do the work, and grow. I think I've said a mouthful, so for today, that's a wrap. A Prince from a Prince's podcast. Africa, grow. Peace.